You're watching HCAM TV.
Hello and welcome to Hopkinton Coffee Break. We are back. We are excited to be here this morning, and certainly with Darlene and Connie and our special guest, Lindsay McDermott. Now, I'm just going to do a really brief intro, and then we're going to get to talk to you, Lindsay, and learn more. But Lindsay, you may not know her name, but she is the creator of the beautiful display on the Common of the signs of all of the emergency and first responder essential workers in the Hopkinton area. It is powerful. It's beautiful. People stop. They take pictures. So thank you. And I have a zillion questions. I'm sure we all do, like how you got to do this. So we'll start. We'll calm down. But thank you for being here this morning.
No problem.
Absolutely. So tell us, Lindsay, you're a Hopkinton resident. Broadly where you live. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I have lived in Hopkinton now for 16 years. I have 5 kids here, so I know quite a bit about the community. I taught here. I actually had Darlene's son. So that's exciting.
For second grade, I think, right?
Yes. And I loved hearing he's like an adult and grown up. It ages me, but I love hearing.
Wow.
I've done a lot with the Library Foundation, all of the events that have gone on. So this year, unfortunately, most of our events were canceled due to COVID. So I've really enjoyed living in Hopkinton. I couldn't have really imagined a better community.
Yeah.
Well, and Darlene has put as her background the signs. I love it. So what made you think of doing this? What was your inspiration? I love it.
I know y'all do.
We were having a Zoom cocktail party, and I basically having no projects to do right now. The Touch a Truck was canceled, and I have a number of friends who are nurses right now, and they have little kids. They're who knows what they're bringing home. My son also had leukemia for 2 years, my 3-year-old. He's in remission.
Thank you.
But he has been in contact with so many nurses, and they are really a part of our family. And basically, it was decided that these women and men need to be honored. And of course, my brain never stops working on projects. Type A personality. And I said, I'm going to figure this out and we're going to do it. And so we really did. I have the moms that were on the cocktail party, and I basically said, this is what we're doing. And everyone pooled together and we started.
Love it. Love it.
But you expanded it.
How many signs are out there?
Oh, sorry.
A couple hundred signs out there?
We have 350 signs out currently.
Wow.
So clearly you expanded beyond, you started with nurses, and then how did you go about collecting the names and knowing who to, outside of your...
started with, we knew that it would go exponentially. We started with our nurse friends, doctors we knew, people in the community. We included the Postal Service, all of the fire department and the police department. And then we knew there were so many more. So we opened it up to the community just on Facebook, and the responses came pouring in. So the 100 signs that we had didn't nearly cover what we were getting. I kept track of it just on an Excel spreadsheet. And surprisingly, some people were honored twice, but for the most part, they were single tributes. So the list is growing and growing.
So do you know roughly how many signs are out there now?
I can tell you that there are 350 because that is, I don't have any signs left, and those were the ones that were ordered.
But it's like, it's an art installation in some ways. It's informative, but it's powerful just on site. Even if you, because I've seen anytime I've gone to the Common since it's been up, many people just drive-bys, and they're just coming to look and go. I mean, it's very special.
Had people come by while we're out there, and that when you see a first responder get out of the car and be excited to see their name, there's pictures with families. It makes it all worth, the time that was put into it.
I think I've seen people even stop, and I know a couple people have actually taken a picture with their sign, which has been really cool.
Of course.
Christina Anderson did that from the post office, and it was really neat to see.
That's awesome.
Made people feel special,
There are a couple of signs that are actually decorated. People came and decorated their signs.
Oh, cool.
Which was really fun. And a lot of the names, believe it or not, I don't know if it's because the school teacher in me, but a lot of the names I remember now from writing them all out. And I can tell you where on the common they are, what they've done. So it's special to me too.
Absolutely. Well, you've been getting a little publicity about this, have you not? You've been in a few news articles and so forth. Tell me, is the word spreading a bit beyond Hopkinton?
The word is spreading. I had a couple of people send tributes on Facebook from, just friends and family. And I said, I'm sorry, we have to limit it. There's only so much in funding to put in signs. But it's pretty amazing the people that have contacted me with full families of first responders.
Wow.
Yeah, and they've seen it in the newspaper.
That's what I was referring to. Yeah. You're in the Metro West Daily, I believe, is where I saw.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
I think so. I think that's where I read
And I think what kind of like marriages it together is the banner you had done that's on the gazebo itself. That really is the marriage of the signs and makes a statement that
Absolutely.
We had that was actually done by Bob Dubinsky and his company Corporate Events.
I've used them many times.
Yes, they donated the banner, and they donated 100 of the signs. So
wow,
so appreciative.
That's great.
Unfortunately, the signs are not inexpensive.
No.
So their 100 signs was a huge help to our putting it together.
Absolutely. And of course, the signs, they're handwritten, hand printed. Is that right? So that's some good,
You did every single one?
Yeah.
No, there's one out there, John Stewart, that spelled his name wrong, and I sent someone over to redo it for me.
So you have the biggest Sharpie.
Yeah, right.
I went through 3 Magnum Sharpies.
I bet you did. Oh, yeah.
I don't even want to ask the hours between accumulating, responding, and then writing, and then physically installing. It must have been
Lovely. I'm curious for sure.
How wonderful.
It actually kind of helped me out.
Okay.
I seem to be getting panic attacks from wearing the mask.
Sure.
So it gave me a good reminder of why I'm wearing the mask.
Yeah.
Helping all those people, and they're out there putting their lives on the line while I sit at home with my kids getting frustrated over the internet.
Yeah.
Well, and Lindsay, I'm glad to hear your daughter is in remission.
It's my son, and he
son. Oh, I'm sorry.
In remission for almost a year. So
Your son.
That is wonderful.
That is wonderful. Because I can appreciate your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us a bit about your kids, Lindsay. Into 5 of them, ages and class years.
My oldest is a sophomore. He's 15.
Okay.
My next child is 13, almost 14, and she's in 8th grade. I then have a 10-year-old 4th grader, a 7-year-old 2nd grader, and a 6-year-old kindergartner.
Wow. You do have your hands full. Now, are you teaching now? Are you still teaching? I mean, I know.
No, I actually started substituting a bit this year, which was really wonderful. But I'm assuming going in the fall is probably not an option for me. I don't think that they'll be allowing many outside people inside the school, which is frustrating. But I will be back to it eventually. I really love it.
So your 8th grader is also missing 8th grade like celebration. Which
she did.
A very big deal in Hopkinton. As much as we're making a big deal out of like graduations, the people, the kindergarten, and the 8th grade celebration. That step into high school has always been a big celebration in town.
Absolutely. And don't the 8th graders also do a trip? Do they still take a trip?
New York City trip.
So they definitely
that was canceled.
Of course, yeah. That's too bad.
My daughters still, I think, once they get older, find a way to communicate still with each other over Zoom and FaceTime. I think they're a lot more adept at using electronics to communicate versus, everyone else that's frustrated over using technology to just say hi.
Yeah.
I'd rather pick up the phone or meet someone out someplace.
Exactly.
And Lindsay, you're involved with the library as well. How's that all going? I know there's been some wonderful programs virtually and et cetera. I don't know if you have any insight onto that you can share.
Well, so I'm a part of the foundation, and our biggest drive was to build the beautiful library.
Yes.
Right.
When that opened, we could either disband or we could try and spread out our connections and see what else we could fundraise for. We were looking at a new project to help out the library and specifically the young adults. But since all of this occurred, we've had to put it on pause. And we were planning on our Touch a Truck this year, which normally is about $21,000. It's a huge event.
Wow.
We do have money still, and we have given the town a lot of the money that we need to. I believe we just paid the last payment. But we were able to do a couple of programs with what we had left. We bought a 3D printer.
Oh.
Yes.
Really? I can never imagine how those really work. Have you ever printed anything with it?
I haven't seen it. I have no clue how it works.
Talk about technology.
I can attest to having seen it. And I can tell you there is some programming that is involved, but I've never done it. My son's an architect, and so they use 3D printers all the time, and he's shown me stuff he does. And of course, one of his first things upon graduation, when he got his first paycheck, he went out and bought himself a 3D printer because his indulgent. Well, he just,
Yeah, good. I'm sure he would.
It was his toy.
Lindsay, I don't know if you remember Robert Lahaye, if you had him in 2nd grade.
I don't think I had him.
Yeah, he went on to be an engineer, and while he was furloughed for a short period of time, he's used his 3D printer to make masks and not ventilator.
Wow.
The shield, the
filters could go into, and as
amazing.
It's been amazing, and he got he's in Connecticut now, and he got some press, and I shared it on Real Housewives just because I thought it was just so cool to see a Hopkinton kid doing this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I didn't share, but my son did the same thing. He and his firm, he initiated it, but they used all their 3D printers to do whatever they could for their hospitals.
Absolutely. I also love how the community have stepped up to make the masks, and they're being distributed all over the place. I am excited about the ones that in fact I've gotten 6 masks from Emily and Kelly Karp, and I'm actually sending a few to my kids in New York. They have masks, but they, you can never have enough if we're wearing them all the time. But to your point, Lindsay, in terms of the discomfort of wearing a mask. Yeah, that's real. I mean, I'm hearing that, and I find that I can't see. I wear glasses, so breathing, and they're all fogged up, and so I don't wear the mask to drive because I can't. It fogs up my
You're
glasses.
in your car. You don't need to.
Yeah, right. So thank goodness. But just like going to the store or whatever, it's
a process.
It's really heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
Definitely.
I know Darlene and I both have asthma, and it's a little uncomfortable, but candidly, it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
I can suck it up for others,
But yeah, of course. But it's just such a
I mean, I was now given one of the N95s because my asthma is so severe that I couldn't suck it up if I was like in a store for more than 10 minutes.
Right.
On. And as soon as I would walk out and be beelining to my car, I'm ripping it off because I can't catch my breath. And I'm having to carry an inhaler everywhere I go, which I was able to go almost a year without an inhaler.
Yeah.
So it's caused other issues. This
And I know
Sunday I did a Zoom
Lindsay,
call out here and got stung twice.
oh no, you're allergic.
Yeah.
Well, and the background doesn't even look real. It looks like a picture.
Gorgeous.
No, it's a Japanese maple tree behind me.
I can tell it's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Lindsay, you mentioned you had some minor panic, or I don't know. I used the word minor. You didn't panic attacks. I know I had minor panic attacks. I mean, I have minor anxiety, and between the virus, the mask, and just whatever, so
Yeah.
you said that was part of your therapy. The signs on the common was part of your therapy.
Definitely.
What else have you guys been doing to kind of stave your nerves? I mean, we're all kind of.
That's a good question. Yeah.
So this morning I was out at 9:30 scraping down my wrought iron furniture because it needs to be painted. I redid 2 rooms in my house.
Yes.
I have to stay busy. I have to stay busy. And it's a big thing with the kids too. I think it's been really hard because staying busy is electronics.
Right.
And even with the nice weather, they're so now trained to watch electronics that it's tough. It's always a fight to get them outside.
Right. And they can't see their friends as much. I mean, I'm sure under normal circumstances, they'd be out and about busy doing a million things.
Yeah, no, definitely. We actually are taking a tennis lesson this afternoon because the instructor can be away from us.
Yep.
Yes.
Touches the balls only with gloves. Everything's good there. And I need an excuse to get the kids to leave the house,
Right.
of scenery, and be able to get some exercise and enjoy moving and not have electronics.
Is Lynn Calkins teaching?
No, Dick Waterfall.
Oh, I know Dick very well. Yeah.
Well, are the lessons up at the courts by the middle school?
No, those are locked. And we live
at the country club
away from it. So it's frustrating, but these are up at Hopkinton Country Club.
That's what Dick teaches. Yes. So I actually find, because my kids are all grown and out of the house, but I also work, and I've had to set some structure because I can get sucked in and spend my entire day on my computer, on my phone, and I have to create breaks and boundaries because otherwise, I would be like your kids, doing absolutely.
I've got to do better than that because I haven't been getting out until like 6 o'clock, and then it's just to be outside for a minute. But to get exercise, I haven't been on a walk in a while, even though it's beautiful. I just don't have time.
One of the big things I had to learn to do when my son was sick was to live in the moment. And I practiced that a lot. And so I actually, since he was sick, don't get on social media nearly as much. You need a break.
Yeah, you do.
A break. Yeah. So we've been walking the Loop Road a lot. I live right down the street.
Oh, good.
And it's
That's very nice.
Other people, close, but you're not separated by plexiglass. See people, and that can be important.
I posted an article today that was kind of like, building your next bridge around social distancing. And I know we've started a little bit in my neighborhood where we'll sit around a bonfire. We're all 6 feet apart, but it's been emotionally healing for me.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking about when you were talking about the library and the touch a truck having to be canceled, and that so many of those trucks out there, those people's names are on the common. And that, that was a day that they gave of their free time. I mean, they brought their work vehicle, but these are people who a lot of them are town employees who donated their time to be out there.
Yeah.
Is there anything that the library needs now? Like, how can people support the library now while you guys are doing a ton of virtual events, but is there a fundraising link we should share? What are the goals for the foundation going into the fall?
I mean, you can always donate through the library. There are links for the Friends of the Library. There are links to the foundation. We're going to really have to start brainstorming ways to fundraise money as far as events are concerned. I mean, just to keep people 6 feet apart is really difficult, considering we did Hoptoberfest. People were on top of each other.
Oh my God.
I mean, the whole
we were.
In a good way.
I mean,
Well, we
touching
weren't-
goes against everything that is social distancing.
Lindsay, the library is in the same boat with a lot of nonprofits. And now I will tell you, and this is something to think about, one of the nonprofits I sit on the board, we were supposed to have our gala, which of course had to be canceled in March. But we did the silent auction virtually, did it over 3 days. And it actually raised the amount of money that we expected it to raise while at the live gala. So just thought is maybe you can do a virtual silent auction, things like that engage people. And throughout the silent auction, it was done via your cell phone and you could slide through different things. You could also click on little video clips that gave just little snippets of why, and in this case, it was constituents of the nonprofit, but so just a thought.
That is a good.
Yeah, I've talked about that. The library is a tougher situation. As beautiful as the library is, there are not as many people that frequent library as they would, the schools and supporting HPCA. So the draw for the library events has really been trying to pull in the outside community who wouldn't, normally send $20. They need to have the event and have something in return for their donation.
Yeah.
So that is difficult, but I know with budgets down, the library is really concerned about cutting staff, as I'm all of the departments will be. But of course, the library, in comparison to other departments, is easily more on the chopping block as far as common services.
Right.
So that's a real fear through the library, is that so much will be cut that it'll be difficult to keep it open as far as staffing is concerned and social distancing. There's people touching all the books.
Right. That alone,
So we'll see.
Oh, we'll see.
I'm taking part in the Hopkinton 101 virtually. So you guys have been able to say, hey, I know you guys have enjoyed this the last couple of years. We're going to make lemonade out of this. And actually have to schedule my little interview with 101. I think, those things that may be getting at, the asking that each participant is like, please, I know you guys are representing a nonprofit. I think I'm on for Poly Arts. I may be on for Cultural Council. I don't know which one. No, before I go on and do this interview. But, each of these people can donate money to, but at the same time, it's like, I want to thank the library for like having this, trying to host this and bring it back to like, if you want to support, here's a link to the Hopkins Friends. Maybe that's part of like these interview pitches, but now I'm thinking about you being at Elmwood and that how many, another thing Milestone Kids missed this year was the, not just the marathon, but that Elmwood is kind of, the celebration day.
Attendance,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course.
I mean, luckily the kids do get the 2 years to be a part of it. So the third graders at least have it in second grade, but they do get a more hands-on experience with the runners. So
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully
it's probably
we'll
like
be able to have
probably like the happiest day in Hopkinton at Elmwood School. That watching them run around like with the with the runners and stuff like that leading out.
It's a wonderful tradition. Like Connie, my kids are grown too, but my youngest went to Elmwood. He's 9 years old on Friday, and the Kenyan runners. We still have the little Kenyan flag. And it's just, I love the traditions that Hopkinton maintains throughout the schools. And like everything else, and the library and so forth. I work with a lot of nonprofits, also sit on a couple of boards, and they're predominantly my clients. And every program is under concentrated review of how do we serve now. It's not about the first thought of cutting. Is what do we do differently now to serve the same needs that there've always been, and involve more people. And it's it's challenging. Obviously, electronics being one element, but even other ways. And it'll be fascinating to see what emerges from this big disruptor.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and even regular businesses. I mean, there's the phase one is this week, and
Mhm.
everybody has to have a control plan in place. And I know the three of us, Darlene, Patricia, and I, have been involved in various levels. And Darlene, you posted a link with a nice video.
Mhm.
But
Around reopening and
it's
safety and stuff. Was
it,
it?
Right. Well,
you know,
yeah, I have the state's
things
compliance.
things are going to
attestation.
be different, and I'm hoping businesses can navigate it and survive. And it's going to be tough for some businesses.
And, socially for all of us, like going to restaurants, and being
Take out.
I know. They want to.
Lots of takeout here.
Lots of takeout.
At
I
least
just
once a
started
week
doing
here.
some takeout. I was all about, at first I was so afraid that I wanted to just eat my own food. I mean, in March, remember how, I mean, I feel a lot more, we've adjusted. So I don't have the panic feelings or the anxiety that I used to have early on. But I did get in the mode of, cooking everything, which I hadn't cooked every day in years like that. And interesting, then I always thought, my God, if you take your life in your hands to go to the grocery, I better eat everything, as opposed to what I used to do was waste too much while I was going to different spots. So, but
I shop every 2 weeks. I keep my contact level down and
Me
shop
too.
every 2 weeks. And I
Exactly.
don't have it.
My husband's a grocer. He just brings food home.
I know.
Yeah.
You're lucky. But I also, on the takeout, depending on the restaurant, there are a few I'm not returning to because their takeout protocols it's like nothing's changed. And I feel that there's too much contact and too much, it's like, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet.
It's funny because our big deal for us is, do you deliver?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Or do you do takeout?
Yeah.
I know in the beginning I was cooking as usual, and then I started feeling like ICOP with
Yeah.
meals a day and three sets of dishes a day, and
Okay.
crazy. And we got into the rut of, okay, where are we taking out tonight? And I know there are a couple of restaurants in town that have opened up just for takeout. There are a lot of them in Westboro that are.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I
And
don't
Milford,
drive someplace. It means putting on the mask and sanitizer.
Right.
Well, I will suggest, Lindsay, your kids are old enough. You can make them responsible, some of them, for cooking.
My son is a master griller.
Oh, good. Good.
Excellent.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So I think it was yesterday or the day before, Boston.com released a list of Boston restaurants that are permanently closed. They're not going to. And this morning,
close. Is there weekend announcements we need to do?
Oh, right. Sorry to cut you off, darling. Hold on one sec, one at a time. We're down to 1 minute.
Go ahead, read.
Darlene, you got any community shout out?
Okay. Guys, if anyone's interested, the Ramadan celebration is at 9 p.m. I can send. It's a very nice celebration after the great fast of the month of Ramadan. It's through the Islamic Center right here in town at 9 p.m. Friday night. Next batch is doing another trivia night to benefit Project Just Because. Support the library. We're going into Memorial weekend. Support. Recognize. If you're able to visit cemeteries or.
Yeah.
Just reflect on what Memorial Day really is about. I know a lot of us are missing cookouts and beaches and stuff, but the names that are on the common, those people, their names matter, what they're doing matters. And so many of them, when I would look at them, I'm thinking like, wow, I forgot. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I see this person or that person. I see Cindy Zedek's name and know that she's a nurse for Slow Milford. These things matter. What Lindsay matters. And it's making people feel special, making people like me on the other end reflect, thinking like, wow, this is what we take for granted.
Yep, absolutely. So Lindsay, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for all that you do in town. And we love the memorial.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for watching us, everybody.
All right. Thank you.